and value systems she has experienced, and likes to discuss different cultures and habits. She grew up somewhere close to the North Pole, in a culture quite different from the American culture, and in this speech, she is going to talk a bit more about the Finnish culture, a particular one specific aspect of the Finnish culture about keeping conversations going and about silence. This is Tess's fourth speech from The Competent Communicator, where the focus is on how to say it. Her objectives are to select the right words and sentence structure, use rhetorical devices, and eliminate jargon. Her speech is called Silence is Golden. Or is it? The time is 5 to 7 minutes. Let's welcome Tess.
Imagine yourself out walking your dog in a lush pine forest in Finland. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and you can smell the pine, the moss, and the moist air. You spot another dog owner coming around the corner, and you're faced with a choice. Do you, A, smile, say hello, and strike up a conversation about the weather or the dog? B, smile and say hello. C, smile and keep walking. Or D, look down, don't make eye contact, and keep walking. If you chose anything other than D, then congratulations. You just made the Finn really, really uncomfortable. The Finns are notoriously famous for their silence. This doesn't mean they can engage in small talk when the need calls for it, but they see the forest, for example, as a place for contemplation and silence. Now, Finland's surface is covered with forest up to 70%, which means that silence comes very natural to a Finn. This is where I grew up. This doesn't mean that a silent Finn is shy or depressed or sad. A silent Finn can be both active and positive. Finns listen while others talk. And when Finns do speak, when it's their turn, and when they have something relevant to add to the conversation, when they finally open their mouths, what they say is not only relevant, but also very brief and direct. It's about quality, not quantity. Finns are used to long pauses and silence in their conversations. However, this silence can make people from other cultures uncomfortable. A Finn often demonstrates interest by listening. For a Finn, silence is golden. However, here in the US, we usually show continued interest and engagement with the conversation by giving constant positive feedback. Oh, really? Well, this is intended in a way of confirming interest and engagement with the conversation. A Finn, if you talk to a Finn, it might confuse him. He might think you interrupt him or try to speed him up. Here is an example of how silence can be interpreted differently. I heard about this American in Utah who took a Finnish visitor out into the Wasatch Mountains to show off the beautiful landscape. The Finn sat silently staring out the window at the beautiful landscape. Suddenly, the American stopped the car and demanded to know what was wrong. Nothing was wrong. The Finn was just admiring the scenery in a typical Finnish way, in silence. Americans do not always think that silence is golden. Finns are also very obsessed about what other people think about them, what they wear, etc. And they're sort of unique in a way that they make jokes about themselves. For example, a Finn says that the difference between an extroverted Finn and an introverted Finn is that the extroverted Finn is looking at the other person's shoes instead of his own. Or, did you hear about the man from Finland who loved his wife so much that he almost told her? This is probably how I was 25 years ago. And believe me, it was uncomfortable moving to the United States, where we place so much emphasis on being polite and on small talk. I lost count on how many times a day somebody asked me how I was, and the words almost lost their meaning. If you ever happen to be in Finland, and a Finn takes the time to talk to you and say something, chances are he's really thought about it long and hard, and he really means it. Oh, and don't ask a Finn how they are, because you might get an honest answer. Now when I'm back in Finland or Sweden and go for a run in the lush pine forest, and I meet someone, I usually smile and say hello. This is what I'm used to now. I'm just being friendly, right? But the person I meet usually stares at me in bewilderment. Is this somebody I'm supposed to know? Or even worse, they might get scared because I might be a bad guy or molester or something. I forget that the polite thing to do is to look down and just keep running.